Hey everyone, it's Josh with JE Vintage Minis. I think this will be a good video to show just refurbishing your side cover and this chain side cover and the clutch side cover. These are painted with Honda Cloud Silver. These are a little worn out and I'm working on a bike, so I got them off. Why not bring them back to their old glory and get a new finish on it? So I'm going to step you through that. On these CT70s, they had the removable timing cap to get to the flywheel. That is a aluminum piece that is going to be polished out, so we'll show you how to polish that briefly, but we'll just do a quick video of tools I use and how we get it down to base metal, kind of get rid of some of the scratches in the casing, and then we'll build up through a couple steps the paint finish. So first step, my advice to you guys, if you want, is to pre-order some case screws. If you're going to go through all the work to get these back to a nice finish, you might as well top it off with some nice shiny hardware too. So moving on past that, we're going to start just working on the case itself. I use some brake cleaner. You want to get all the grease off, clean the inside of this clutch cover, just get all the grime as much as you can. Also use a straight edge blade and gently remove any of the gasket material that might be stuck on the inside of this clutch cover. Get your seal out of here, disassemble your semi-auto clutch components from here. So just get this stuff all as bare as possible. Next step I'm going to do is get some aircraft remover, which is a paint remover, and get it on these silver parts and get that to start breaking down for me. It makes it a little easier when I'm trying to get all this paint removed so I can get down to my bare metal. I'm going to switch things up actually. So this is aircraft remover. You can get these at Lowe's, Home Depot, this Rust-Oleum brand, or any auto parts store. So if you've never used it before, it's pretty strong. Just wear some gloves. I think it actually will eat through standard latex gloves, but good to have protection on before you use it. And just smear it on, and it starts to basically instantly start to break down the paint, so it's an easier process to remove it. So this is like kind of a DIY at home, which I actually work from home too, but I've got some other tools that I'm going to use. But this is like a good beginner DIY step for you if you don't have all the tools to do it. So paint remover, aircraft remover, then you might want to move up to getting like a 3M Scotch-Brite. If you have a power drill, get a 3M Scotch-Brite disc, and then you can go back over once the aircraft remover's dried up, go back over it with a Scotch-Brite and then knock all the flakes off, and you'll probably get down to bare metal pretty easily on this paint. What I'm going to actually do is use my power setup here, where I got an air compressor and a dry box or a media blaster. I'm just going to media blast this stuff instead, and then I will, depending on how the finish comes out, I might go to a polisher and see if I can smooth out any defects, but I'm not sure if we need to do that. So giving you a couple different options as far as getting these down to bare metal. One other quick tip for this stuff is that it makes a really good gasket softener. So some of these gaskets are difficult to remove sometimes when they get baked onto these engines and side covers and center cases, etc. Aircraft remover is a very good solvent to help get those gaskets broken down and more easily removed. Alright, so I'm going to get this in there and get it blasted down. So you don't have a media blaster. Other option, which I find other than a drill, if you have I use this right now, I have a Harbor Freight benchtop polisher. Uses 6 or 6.5 inch pads. You can get Scotch-Brite pads that will fit on that, or a 1/2 inch shank. This one's part number 27747. These, maybe, I don't know if that part number correlate. I bought a big pack of them, so that might correlate to you having to buy a bunch of them. But that's the size of this, and it's made by 3M. Trying to look for a different part number for you. But get that pad, put it on your buffer, and then run this on in through it. And this thing will just nicely break down that paint and get you like a like what's the finish? I want to say just like a satin-ishy finish. It's almost like, looks like vapor honing. So just another option for you guys. So these are media blasted. It's got a nice kind of coarse finish for this paint to adhere to. To the inside, got pretty much all that grease out of there. Just comment on this media blasting. I didn't go on this side of it. I tried to avoid getting anything up in here. I'll clean this with some brake cleaner and a rag, but I'm gonna definitely clean it with soap and water and blow out down through this channel and down in that little area where your part of your clutch mechanism goes into. It's just areas of this down in here. That's just areas that media can get stuck in and get into your motor. So even when you use 3M Scotch Brights or anything that's like an abrasive that degrades and breaks down, that stuff, those particles can get everywhere. So I'm going to clean this really good before I go to the step of putting primer on it, because I want to make sure I get all that debris out of this area. So once you get everything clean and dried up, use some primer. I use some self-etching primer, and I use the Honda Cloud Silver paint. You still get this online. And if you go into the next step, if you're going to bother putting clear on, buy the right clear. This is a 2K 2-part real clear coat. You can get this on Amazon. I think about $21 a can. Stuff is super toxic. Make sure you wear a respirator with this for sure. So if you're going to go with clear, don't waste your time. Make sure you use the real deal, or other clears won't even hold up to gasoline, the cheaper Rust-Oleum or off-the-shelf stuff. So get your stuff. I like to hang my parts. If you can hang it, go for it. Just makes for a good way to work around it and keep it off the ground where debris likes to get kicked up. I'm in Florida. It's winter. It's not, I mean, you have some nice weather, but I know you guys up in northern states, it's really cold. So it might be a good practice to use a little heat gun and get your metal a little hot, a little warmed up. That paint will adhere a little bit better as opposed to a cold climate. And then when we start to spray our primer, just want to start with some light coats. Let the first coat get on and then let it dry for a little bit, or follow the instructions for your can. But the key to good finishing is just kind of a nice even spray pattern and not overdoing it with each layer of paint that you're putting on, because you'll get drips and then you'll create a problem for yourself. The other thing is also get yourself some tack cloth. Get your, use that cloth to run over the surface of the metal before you put your paint on. It helps remove any of the lint and stuff off there. Alright, so I got about 3 coats of Honda Cloud on it, so I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to jump on that cap for the chain guard, the polished aluminum part. I'm going to tape it off and then spray it with some black paint, and then come back and buff off some of the overspray. I'll show you. So this is the cover that goes on the chain guard, or not the chain guard, but the actual flywheel cover. That's what I meant to say in the previous video. It's the round part that goes on it. I took a 3M on the wheel on the buffer and gave it a basic satin finish just to clean it up, and then I taped it all off, and I'm going to just use some black spray paint, like a Rust-Oleum, to go in there. I'm going to try this method instead of doing a hand paint. Alright, scratch the Rust-Oleum. I forgot I had this stuff, so I'm going to use this black high temp paint on it. It's a little more durable in my opinion. So the goal here is just to put a nice coat that is going to just be taped off and minimal overspray, and then bring it back over to the buffer and buff off the surface area and leave behind the black. Come around from this angle too. Let that dry. So paint's dried enough on this thing. This is where it was taped off, and I gotta get the surface paint removed and keep the recess black. I already went real quick with the 3M on the buffer wheel, Scotch-Brite wheel, and did a good job cleaning off the overspray, and all the letters were left black. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and I'm gonna be really gentle on the wheel so I don't push down. Alright, so it's not a perfect solution, but I'm gonna get a little paintbrush and touch this up in there, but everything else is pretty good. But it's kind of an idea for you guys if you're trying to do that. I was just seeing if I can get away without hand painting. This is a good method on the small letters because that 3M, that Scotch-Brite pad does not get down in there, but on the larger letters it has chances of getting down there and taking away that paint. So I touched it up everywhere on the big Honda with that paintbrush and the spray paint sprayed into a towel, just because I didn't want any variances in shade on darkness. And then I let it dry. I wasn't too careful about getting outside the border. It kind of went up on top of the cover plate area, and then I took a towel and sprayed it down with some brake cleaner and was very gentle with going around the letters, but it worked really good to pull. So one tip about the Honda Cloud Silver spraying it: do your light coats, multiple light coats to get a nice initial finish on it. But do your final coat heavy. It's got a metallic component to the paint, and I think it lays best if you get a final coat and really lay it on good, or you might get some inconsistent metallic tones across the metal, the workpiece. Thus will conclude the refinishing of the chain guard cover and the clutch side cover. So I hope you enjoyed it. Not too much effort in it, and give you a few tips and tricks of kind of how to accomplish that part with the black, redoing that. So here's the cover. I'm working on a bike, and I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of make a video on this process. So there's the cover I put back on an engine I'm going to work on. Got some new hardware on it. So like I said, it's a good time to change that hardware out to add to all your hard work to get that cover to look good. Alright guys, subscribe. I'm going to obviously be making more videos, so hang tight.